Isn't it strange how two people can stand in the same field, under the same sky, and yet one sees opportunity while the other sees only obstacles? The soil is the same, the weather is the same, but the mind is the difference. You see, life doesn't give you what you want, it gives you what you are prepared to receive. And preparation begins here, in the attitude, in the philosophy, in the mindset. Most people are not lacking resources, they're lacking belief. And that's where abundance begins, not in your wallet, but in your thinking. So today, let's talk about the one decision that can change everything. Developing an abundance mindset. You don't get success by chasing it down like it's running away from you. You attract it just like you attract respect, love, and good fortune, not by demand, but by design. Life responds not to what you want, but to what you become. See, too many people are out there trying to force outcomes, trying to hustle their way to wealth, with no foundation beneath them. They chase the harvest without planting the seed. But the laws of nature don't work like that. You can't demand a crop without cultivation. You must become the kind of person that success wants to spend time with. And that takes discipline, growth, and good philosophy. I remember a time early in my career when I was broke, not just financially, but mentally. I kept wondering why opportunity didn't knock on my door. Then someone said to me, "Don't ask for better income. Ask for better skills." That hit me hard. I realized I was showing up to life empty-handed, asking for full rewards. So I stopped chasing and started becoming. I became a student of success. I worked on myself more than I worked on my job. I read, I listened, I observed, and slowly success started finding its way toward me. There's an old proverb that says, asterisk, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Asterisk. If your thoughts are anxious, desperate, and hurried, you'll repel the very things you're trying to attract. But if your thoughts are calm, focused, full of vision and discipline, you'll begin to magnetize better outcomes. Wealth flows to those who are prepared to receive it, not just financially, but mentally and emotionally. A poor mind with a rich wallet never lasts long. That's why lottery winners often return to poverty. Their hands caught the money, but their habits couldn't hold it. It's not about chasing wealth, it's about becoming a person of value, a person of principle, a person of intentional growth. Because when you become more, you don't have to beg for opportunity. You simply rise to meet it. I've met people who had little in their pockets, but wealth pouring from their minds. And I've met others with riches in the bank, but poverty in their thinking. The real foundation of abundance doesn't start with numbers or balance sheets. It starts with belief. Until you change the way you think about what's possible, the size of your bank account will never be enough. I've always said, if someone hands you $1 million, best you become a millionaire quickly so you can keep it. Because without the mindset, the money slips right through the fingers. In my early days, I didn't have much, but I had something more valuable than cash. I had the will to change, to think differently. I started reading books that opened up new worlds of possibility. I studied the lives of people who built fortunes, not just with effort, but with vision. I remember one afternoon sitting with my notebook and writing this phrase, "You don't get rich by earning, you get rich by becoming." That simple idea flipped a switch in my mind. I started seeing money not as a result of effort alone, but as a reflection of thought, value, and decisions made over time. The Roman philosopher Seneca once said, asterisk, It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. Asterisk. That's a scarcity mindset, the feeling that no matter what you have, it's not enough. But the abundance mindset doesn't measure life by what's missing. It sees wealth in what already exists. When you train your mind to notice opportunity, to spot potential, to appreciate even small growth, you shift your entire reality. Because what you think about, you bring about. You can build all the wealth in the world, but if your mind is still living in limitation, it'll never feel like enough. But once you believe deeply that life is rich with opportunity, then every day becomes fertile ground for new prosperity. Abundance begins in the mind long before it reaches the vault. Scarcity is subtle. It doesn't shout. It whispers. It slips in quietly and disguises itself as caution, humility, even realism. But left unchecked, it's a silent saboteur. It will rob you of creativity, limit your decisions, and blind you to opportunity. And worst of all, it convinces you that it's protecting you when all it's doing is keeping you small. I've seen people talk themselves out of growth again and again, not because the path was blocked, but because they convinced themselves it wasn't worth trying. There was a time I got invited to speak at a small gathering of business owners, nothing grand, just a handful of people. I almost declined. I thought, too small, not worth the time. But then I caught myself. That was scarcity talking, trying to measure value by size instead of impact. I went, and from that room, one conversation led to a major client. And I learned, you never know what door opens to the next level, but scarcity thinking keeps you from knocking. The ancient Stoic Epictetus said, asterisk wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Asterisk scarcity always wants more, but does less. It waits, it hesitates, it says, I'm not ready yet, or that's for others, not for me. And it creates a loop where the fear of lack produces more lack. It's like a farmer who refuses to plant because he's afraid the rain won't come. Without the seed, there's no harvest. You've got to start recognizing scarcity where it hides in your language, in your hesitation, in that little voice that says, be careful when you ought to be bold. Because the minute you start thinking there's not enough to go around, you start competing instead of creating. And when you compete, you rush, you force, you cling. But when you create, you expand, you give, you attract. Scarcity isn't a money issue, it's a mindset issue. And if you don't uproot it, it'll quietly drain every ounce of potential from your life. It's a remarkable thing how the words we speak begin to shape the lives we live. Most people don't even realize it, but their vocabulary is designing their future. Every time you say, I can't, you weaken your resolve. Every time you say, I never catch a break, you teach your mind to ignore opportunities. Language is not just a tool for communication, it's a blueprint for construction. And whether you're building a mansion or a prison depends on the words you use every day. I remember years ago meeting a young man who had talent, drive, energy, but he was always saying things like, with my luck, things never work out. Or, that's just how my life goes. And I told him, you keep talking like that, and life will keep proving you right. You see, your subconscious listens to every word. It doesn't care whether it's true or false. It accepts what you repeatedly say as instruction. And once it accepts that script, it begins directing your choices, your reactions, and your results. The wise Solomon once said, asterisk, death and life are in the power of the tongue. Asterisk, That's not just poetry, that's principle. People speak poverty and then wonder why wealth avoids them. They say, I'm always broke, and their finances follow suit. But I've also seen people speak change before they saw it. They started saying, I'm learning new things. Money comes to me in new ways. Every day, I'm growing in value. And before long, their world began to rearrange to match their language. So start paying attention to your words. They're not casual, they're creative. When you speak with hope, faith, vision, and certainty, your environment begins to reflect it. Replace I can't with I'm learning. Replace I'm unlucky with I'm open to opportunity. Let your language become the soil where abundance can grow. Because when your words rise, your world rises with them. So here's the truth. Abundance isn't found in luck, inheritance, or some secret strategy. It's found in the quiet decisions you make daily, how you think, how you speak, what you believe, and who you choose to become. Every day, you're either reinforcing limitation or building a foundation for more. The choice is never out there. It's always in here, in your philosophy, in your habits, in your mindset. So I challenge you, don't just hear these words and nod. Put them to work. Speak abundance. Think abundance. Practice gratitude until it becomes second nature. Surround yourself with growth, not gossip. Condition belief until doubt no longer feels like home. Repetition, intention, and consistency. That's the road to lasting wealth, not just in your finances, but in your future. Now is the time to stop waiting for abundance to find you. It's time to become the kind of person it's drawn to. Begin where you are. Start with what you have. And if you do, life won't just respond, it will reward you beyond anything you imagine. Don't chase success. Grow into it. And the journey to abundance will no longer be a question of if, but when.